This is a look at the gear that we chose to take with us on our tour around Big Island. We try to travel fairly light but balance that with some luxuries. At the end of this segment, we'll get into the things that we really found useful, the things that we would have done differently, and the things that just wouldn't have brought it all. Since we were leaving Canada and in the middle of winter, and since we knew we were going to be in some cooler, higher altitude places, Volcanoes National Park and Mauna Kea, we knew we'd need some cold weather gear. So this is what we brought. Also, we knew we were going to be riding in the rain. So we each have like a cycling jacket. We each have a light fleece. Corey's got a hoodie, I've got a little fleece. We each have a long sleeve shirt for warmth. We have our gloves. We have these cowls that are really good for warm weather. We also brought some windproof, semi-waterproof pants and some smart wool socks or some merino wool socks. And all of that cold weather gear fits in the bottom of one of our panniers, about the bottom third. Notice that the waterproof is on the top because that's the thing that we always wanted access to. For our riding gear and for our daily use gear, we have our helmets, of course. We each had 4 t-shirts. Almost all of them are synthetic or wool. We do like cotton for sleep shirts, and it's nice to be able to crawl into something comfy at night that's not the clothes you wore during the day. So we have those. We both have 4 pairs of shorts. We cycled with shorts and then just liners. And then we had some dainties, some underwear, and we each just go with 1 pair of sandals, and those are the only shoes that we wear. We find them versatile. They, when it rains, it doesn't really matter. If it's sunny, it's nice and cool, and you don't have to worry about your socks stinking because what socks? And all of those clothes, well, except for the ones we're wearing, of course, go into a dry bag. I've got a 10-liter dry bag. Corey's got an 8-liter dry bag. And that dry bag goes onto my front rack in these beautiful vintage 1988 panniers from MEC. These are the first panniers that I ever bought, and I'm attached to them, so I don't want to get rid of them. This probably weighs, I'm going to throw 5 pounds out there. It's not a lot of weight, so keeping your front rack fairly light. This is a lot of the other equipment we brought, camping gear and whatnot. Starting in the top left, that's kind of our tech corner. We took a laptop with us and some cameras and battery bank and stuff like that. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into these systems as we go. This is just an overview. So in the middle top, we have some entertainment, and right in the middle we have all our camping gear. To the right, we have our bike tools. I also have another bag on my saddle, beneath my saddle. Below that, we have a big 20-liter Pelican bag with our sleeping bags and our sleeping mats in there. The middle MEC bag has our tent and ground sheet, first aid kit, things like that. And then we have a flavorful selection of other dry bags and some water, purification water carrying. So this is obviously not the stove we brought with us, but we did bring our little MSR stove, which fits in a little case right there. This is all kind of designed, it's always a balance between the luxury items and keeping it light and not too bulky. So these things do nest together nicely, which was kind of lucky more than anything. And then we just kind of put things in there. We have our Dr. Bronner's, which is really useful. I've used it for a number of things, washing up clothes, washing up dishes, all that kind of thing. I've tried shaving with it, which didn't work as well as I'd hoped, but for many, many, many other things, boy, lots of bang for your buck. All this fits into a cozy that I made out of Reflectix. Lots of YouTube videos on that. So that all goes together. A nice stout rubber band over it. A couple of knives, really probably didn't need 2. And then these little mugs nest together. We have different ones. I like the metal one because it kind of doubles as another pot if we need to. So that's our whole cooking setup. The cutting board is not ours.
So I'm going to be talking about the tech and entertainment we brought. First of all, we did bring a laptop so I could download stuff from the phone onto the computer and not have to worry about filling it up. It's a little bit heavier than I would have liked, but it's what we have, and we were going with that. We had a bag full of cords, charging cords and things like that, so I could easily find them. They wouldn't get lost in the bottom of the pannier. For our filming, we got a little selfie stick and a holder and a tripod, which we had to be a bit careful with because this falls apart easily. We also had this is a solar powered power bank, and that was really helpful because there was lots of places where we didn't have power, and this kept everything going. We brought our phone, which is, not our phone, our camera, which is waterproof, but we don't actually have the right chip in it, so we could only take about 15 seconds worth of video with it, so we should have looked at that first.
We're thinking about getting a GoPro as soon as I can convince Corey that we need one.
We'll have to see how well this works out. We brought a book to read, but also the Kindle, which was useful because it's small, and I would read at night. We read a book in the tent at nighttime when it was dark, which these are a must. There's a lot of dark hours, and we needed those a lot. We also had some games, like in here a zombie dice and a crib board that we could play at various times, just to keep ourselves entertained when we were at our campsite.
The tent we brought is an MSR Hubba Hubba. It's a little smaller than we would normally bike pack with, but we were trying to figure out a way to get all the stuff on the plane without having to pack an extra bag, and this worked out pretty well. It's a really strong, really lightweight tent. It's a little squishy with all your bike panniers and stuff inside, but anyways, it certainly did the job, and it's a great product. Corey made a little ground sheet for it for this trip, and that was kind of clutch because we slept on some pretty volcanic, rocky kind of areas, so maybe would have damaged the bottom of the tent. We've now finished our tour all the way around Big Island, and we're pretty pleased. We had a rest day, and we thought we'd just share some of the stuff that when we reflected upon what was valuable, what wasn't. So we didn't bring a little bag, insulated shopping bag. We thought that quite often at an Airbnb you'll find one there. We didn't find one here, so we got a new souvenir. By the way, this is at our Airbnb, and they have this beautiful pool complex, so we landed on our feet here. We have another week here just to kind of chill and enjoy Kona. So what do we have in here? Our water bottles. Haven't really ever loved the plasticky deliciousness of water bottle taste, but baking in the sun for hours and hours and hours did not improve upon that. So we ended up just kind of getting rid of those and just using smart water bottles that didn't have the same kind of flavor. And I hate to think what's in that plasticky deliciousness. We did bring a light first aid kit that we bring for biking and hiking. Didn't ever use it, thank goodness, but wouldn't go without it, of course. Our bungee cords, we had a selection, and probably I wasn't as careful as I should have been. I think I'm going to come up with a better way, because it seemed like we were always wrestling with bungee cords to get our bag strapped on right. I did buy a little hammock here. I saw somebody on the beach with one swung between a couple of palm trees that looked super cool. It's underutilized. That one's on the fence. It's really nice to have it when we're using it, but it's a little hefty and took up a bit of room. We brought 2 of these camping knives. Really, one would have been sufficient. I know that's a little finicky, but there you go. We brought a microfiber towel each, but we only brought small ones. I don't know why we did that, but we thought, they're smaller, they're more compact, they're lighter weight by like a gram. We have a couple of beach towel sized ones at home that we would certainly bring next time, and because it was nice to have beach towels sometimes. Our tripod was a good idea, but this one was a little hokey, so it didn't really work. You had to be careful with it. This little camera we only used a couple of times. There were some technical issues with that. We could have done better. I'm still petitioning for that GoPro. One thing that we took off without, and totally, I don't know what we're thinking, but bug spray. So luckily a lady along the way, we said we were heading up to the North Coast, and she ran back to her Jeep and grabbed this, and she said, take this with you.
To be honest, we didn't find the mosquitoes quite as thirsty and maleficent as the ones in Canada, but it was still really nice to have that to protect your ankles. I did bring a Platypus water filtration system that we never ever used. There's not a lot of, we didn't find a lot of groundwater, and any water that we did find was usually potable water. Water is a real challenge. We'll get into that in detail in the technical part of the video. Probably the thing that annoyed me the most is this old Shackle Lock. This thing weighs probably 2.5 pounds, and I never used it once. It's not the kind of ballast that I really loved carrying around, so this one here, definitely I would rethink our security system and come up with something a little lighter, a little better. My thoughts are, if you can't cut it with a knife, then it's good enough for us. If you've got bolt cutters, you're going to get whatever you want. So, or your zip grinder or whatever, you're going to get whatever you want. So those are our thoughts on stuff that we could have done differently or better.